In the blistering heat of July 1835, along the muddy banks of the Alabama River, 12 miles northeast of Mobile, the River Bend plantation stretched across over 1,500 acres of thick black soil. Endless rows of sugarcane swayed under the relentless Gulf sun, tended by 200 enslaved souls owned by Elias Hawthorne, a man whose fortune rested on their unyielding labor. The air hung heavy with the scent of boiling sap, sweat, and the faint dampness from the swamps bordering the fields to the east. Mosquitoes buzzed in thick clouds, and the sharp cracks of overseers' whips marked the rhythm of the slaves' endless days. Samuel Rivers, 25 years old, stood taller than most at 6'2", his frame lean and corded with muscle from years of swinging machetes and hauling cane. Born in 1810 on a small tobacco farm in Southampton County, Virginia, the same county marked by Nat Turner's uprising just 4 years prior, Samuel had been torn from his family at 15. Caught sharing whispered Bible verses with children from a smuggled page of his master's library, he was sold south in a coffle chain, marched 600 miles to Alabama's sugar frontier. Now, he led a gang of 40 in Riverbend's boiling sheds where massive iron kettles bubbled around the clock. The scorching heat blistered his bare feet on the packed earth floor. Steam singed his skin, and acrid fumes burned his throat. One misstep near the 200-degree syrup could mean weeks of agony, or worse. Life at Riverbend followed a brutal rhythm. The dawn horn blared at 4 a.m., calling hands to the fields. Men cut cane from sunrise to sunset. Women bundled it atop their heads, children fed the grinders. Master Hawthorne, 42, bore a scarred cheek from a dueling pistol and a limp from a horsefall. He ruled from his 2-story Greek revival mansion overlooking the river. No absent landlord, he strode the rows himself, barking orders in a gravelly drawl, hickory switch always ready. "Work or suffer," was his creed. Overseer Jeb Tarkington, a gap-toothed bully from Georgia, enforced it with a bullwhip that left lasting marks on countless backs. Punishments came publicly. Runaways branded with R for Riverbend, thieves had ears cropped, the idle lashed until they collapsed in the dirt. Yet amid the hardship, whispers of resistance glowed like fireflies in the dark. Nat Turner's story lingered in every cabin. Slaves gathered in secret praise meetings under moss-draped oaks, singing coded spirituals, "Steal Away to Jesus," hinting at flight north, Jordan River, meaning the Ohio line to freedom. Samuel stayed quiet, his dark eyes watchful, face steady. Evenings found him mending tools, his deep voice humming hymns that concealed bolder thoughts. Inside, questions churned. Why him? Why here? A growing resolve stirred beneath the doubt. July 14th dawned muggy, the sky turning purple by noon. Evening brought thunder rumbling from the Gulf, building to a fierce storm that shook the plantation like a warning. Winds lashed the cane into a frenzy. Rain drove sideways. Lightning split the sky in blue-white streaks. Samuel, soaked after 16 hours in the sheds, made his way to his one-room cabin, shared with 10 others, men, women, children on straw pallets thick with lice. As the tempest peaked, a bolt struck the massive live oak behind Hawthorne's mansion. Flames crept up the trunk, sparks scattering like embers from a forge. Drawn by the fire, Samuel slipped out into the downpour, barefoot in the gripping mud. No one barred his path. The whites sheltered inside, kneeling amid the splintered branches. He touched the warm bark. A surge coursed through him, not pain, but a profound energy. His sight blurred. The storm's fury quieted in his ears, giving way to stillness, pierced by a voice like distant thunder. "Samuel, son of Abraham, see what I showed Moses. The chains weaken, the yoke breaks. Lead my people from this Egypt, to Mobile, to the ships, to the land beyond the waves." Visions unfolded. Hawthorne's veranda, empty and still, barns glowing with fire, a growing throng of the enslaved marching torchlit paths, white patrols turning aside. Faces of the freed gleamed with hope, sails swelling on Mobile Bay, chains cast into the sea. Samuel gasped, slumping into the mud as thunder rolled in echo. Hours later, at cockcrow, he rose, shivering, the oak a blackened shell, his mind alight. He labored silently that day, machete moving by habit, but the words resounded. Dream, delusion, or a true calling? By dusk, certainty took hold. In the slave row, he met Josiah's gaze, the blacksmith, 30, with hands calloused from hammers and a back scarred from Tarkington's whip for slow work. Josiah had lost 2 wives to the field's toll, buried without markers. "The storm spoke to me, brother," Samuel whispered as they drew water. "The Lord says rise." Josiah paused, bucket shaking. "Like Prophet Nat." Samuel nodded. Josiah clasped his arm. "Tell me more." That night, under a sliver moon in the cypress swamp 2 miles east, where shadows hid gators and serpents, they gathered. Pine knots glowed in a clay pit, light flickering on bowed heads. Samuel arrived first, then Josiah, healer Eliza, 28, marked by hardships, including Hawthorne's cruelties, and Caleb, the 17, swift runner who carried supplies to Mobile. Samuel spoke low and urgent. The vision. Thunder showed Hawthorne fallen, his house in flames, us marching free. 51st, then more. Strike on the full moon, August 22nd. His ball with neighbor planters. Overpower them, fire the buildings, take horses, head to Mobile docks, ships to Liberia or the north. Josiah hesitated. Turner gathered 60, struck hard but ended on the gallows. Militia will chase us. Samuel's gaze held firm. The Lord shields, I saw it. Eliza, stirring roots for remedies, added softly. My boy was lost in that sugar vat last year. Hawthorne turned away. I'm with you. Caleb, orphaned early, nodded sharply. I'll carry word to kin on Blackthorn Farm nearby. They sealed oaths with pricked thumbs on cane thorns. Word spread like roots underground. Next night, 2 more joined. Big Tom, a towering man from the mule barn whose son had been sold away. And Mary, housecook who handled poisons for rats and dreamed of overseers meeting justice. Samuel tested his sight. Tarkington stumbles tomorrow. Come morning. The overseer indeed fell from his horse on a hidden route, cursing loudly. Faith grew. By week's end, 15 committed. Field hands like sturdy Zeke, who cached blades, women like Ruth, hiding edges in skirt hems. Even free black drayman Amos from Mobile, bringing patrol news. They met thrice weekly in the swamp, shaping spears from plowshares, honing hoes, charting paths. Mansion first. Arms in the attic, then mills and barns, slave quarters untouched for new allies. River ford to dodge watchers, 50 miles through pines and streams to Mobile. Danger drew near. Hawthorne noted quiet clusters, fewer escapes, all now scheming. He added night watches, enlisted Silas, a free black informant from town. One evening, whip in hand, he dragged Samuel to the veranda. Lanterns glowed, moths circling. Preaching again, boy. Nat Turner's gone, but his shadow clings. Samuel's pulse raced, but he replied evenly. Just psalms, massa. Steadies the hands. Hawthorne's eyes narrowed, whiskey on his breath. One slip, and you're gone. He thrust Samuel down the steps. Fear rippled through the group. Eliza faked a fever in Caleb to scout Blackthorn. 40 slaves there, eager. Samuel foresaw a wagon delay. It arrived 2 days late from rains. Signs piled. A loose chain. Let Zeke take nails unseen. August baked the land. Numbers climbed to 25, then 35, drawing from Pine Hill, 20 souls, and Blackthorn, 30. Weapons hidden: 50 cane knives, 20 clubs, pilfered pistols, 2 from Hawthorne's stable hand, fire pots of pine resin, swamp drills honed silent advances, strikes on hogs standing for foes. Personal losses fueled them. Josiah shared: first wife broken by a dropped jug, second taken by fever in the cane. He shaped a spearhead with a crossmark. Eliza: Hawthorne's demands cost me my child. The vision calls for balance. Caleb: father lost to insolence charges. I'll run like the wind. Big Tom: son sold at 12. Never seen again. Each story wove them tighter. Samuel grappled inwardly nightly. Visions hinted at losses, even among the innocent. The voice calmed. All yokes shatter. Full moon approached. August 22nd, Hawthorne's ball. 20 elite planters, wives, officers, deep in drink. Ideal cover. Patrols sharpened. Silas lurked. Close scrape. Mary overheard whispering. Lashed 20 times. She held firm. As cane tassels turned gold. Final pledges. 50 total. 30 men. 15 women. 5 youths. Last swamp gathering. August 20th. Samuel spoke by firelight. Tomorrow night we rise, to freedom or rest. Muffled cheers. They parted at false dawn, but Hawthorne sensed unrest. Afternoon, he met overseers. Something stirs. Double guards tonight. Samuel, hoeing, saw him gesture toward the swamp. Dread gripped him. Dusk fell. Ball guests rolled in. Carriages, fiddles warming. Slaves served with hidden resolve. Midnight neared. Cabins held gripped tools. One final swamp call. Samuel led the band assembling. Distant thunder rumbled. Echo of the first. A shot rang from the big house. Alarm or mishap? The moment balanced. Strike or hold? Josiah urged. Vision said moon high. Hoofbeats neared. Patrol. Caleb hissed. Silas spotted us. Samuel raised his fist. To the house, the Lord guides. They advanced like shadows. Cain hushes their steps. Moon rose. Blades caught light. The night waited. Chapter 2. Flames in the night. The shot cracked through the sultry Alabama night like a whip's final snap, freezing Samuel Rivers mid-stride at the edge of the cane fields. Behind him, his band of 50 rebels, men, women, and a handful of determined teens, halted in the moonlit shadows, their makeshift weapons gripped tight. Cane knives filed to edges, spears forged from plowshares, clubs hewn from fence rails, and a precious few stolen pistols. The full moon of August 22nd, 1835, hung heavy over Riverbend Plantation, bathing the Greek Revival mansion in a pale, ghostly glow. Laughter and fiddle music spilled from its open windows, where Elias Hawthorne's grand ball swirled with oblivious planters, their wives, and militia guests. 20 elite souls toasting their dominion under crystal chandeliers. Samuel's heart pounded, the storm vision from weeks ago surging through him like a river in flood. This is the moment, the voice had whispered in thunder. Strike now, shatter the chains. But the shot, sharp, urgent, threw their careful plan into peril. Caleb, the fleet-footed scout, had triggered a hidden bell wire near the servants' entrance, a trap meant for stray dogs now alerting the house. Lights flared inside, lanterns snatched up, shadows darting across verandas. Hawthorne's gravelly bellow cut the air. Patrol! Check the quarters! Now! No time for doubt. Rise! Samuel roared, low and fierce, the signal they'd rehearsed a dozen times in the cypress swamp. The band surged forward like a dark tide, bare feet silent on the dew-slick grass, splitting into waves as planned. 20 to the mansion's side door, left unlatched by Mary the cook. 15 to the barns and mills for fire, 15 to rally the quarters. They ghosted through the cane, hearts hammering, the scent of boiling sugar and river mud thick in the air. Mary's door gave way without a creak, her doing a quiet act of defiance after years of kitchen servitude. Samuel led the first wave inside, Josiah at his right with spear raised, Eliza clutching her hatchet, Big Tom looming behind like a shadowed oak. The kitchen reeked of roasting venison and spilled rum. 2 white servants, indentured cooks, gaped from their stools. One reached for a poker. Mary's cleaver flashed from the pantry shadows, felling him with a heavy thud to the floor. Zeke's pistol barked once, dropping the second cleanly. No screams. Yet. They bound the fallen with apron strings, gagged them with rags. Quiet holds us alive, Samuel whispered. Up the back stairs they crept, the fiddle's wail masking their steps. The ballroom doors loomed, double oak ajar for the heat. Inside, Hell's banquet unfolded, Hawthorne in cream linen, red-faced from bourbon, twirling a silk-gowned wife. Neighbors Cyrus Blackwell and Edmund Tyre clapping to the tune. Militia. Captain Jacob Sims laughing with his lieutenants. Wives fanning themselves, children peeking from corners. Servants wove trays of punch and cigars, faces schooled to blankness. Samuel kicked the doors wide. Fiddle strings snapped mid-note. Candelabras teetered, hot wax spilling like tears. "Freedom comes!" he thundered, cane knife gleaming. Chaos erupted. Planters lunged for wall-hung rifles. Women shrieked, clutching skirts and young ones. Hawthorne's eyes locked on Samuel, master and man. Years of whips and orders flashing between them. "You!" he snarled, fumbling his dueling pistol. Samuel was faster. Knife arced high, then down. Not a killing plunge, but a deep slash across the arm that sent the pistol clattering. Hawthorne staggered, bellowing for help. Josiah's spear thrust forward, pinning the planter's sleeve to the wall, immobilizing, not slaying outright. "Your reign ends tonight," Josiah growled. Big Tom charged like a storm, his fence rail club sweeping low to shatter knees and ankles, toppling 3 guests in a heap of tangled limbs and spilled crystal. No blood spray, but bones cracked audibly, cries filling the air. Eliza darted nimble, hatchet parrying a desperate grab from Blackwell's wife. The blade caught the woman's upraised arm, forcing her down, dazed. Caleb slipped under tables, hamstringing Tyre with a quick knife slice, enough to hobble, not cripple forever. Ruth and the women hurled fire pots from hidden slits in skirts. Pine resin bundles bursting on rugs, flames licking curtains and coats without consuming lives yet. Smoke billowed, choking the room, driving whites toward the study door. Gunfire spat. Captain Sims, scarred and steady, drew his Colt, felling Zeke with a shoulder shot that spun the big man back. Zeke grunted, clutching the wound, but rose firing his own pistol wild, enough to scatter Sims' cluster. "Barricade!" Sims yelled, herding survivors into the study. 8 planters, 4 wives, 2 officers, children huddled. Doors slammed, furniture shoved against. Muzzle flashes pierced keyholes, one grazing Samuel's thigh, burning like fire. Outside, the night answered with flame. The barn team, led by Amos the drayman, dashed pots into haylofts. Whooshes of orange lit the sky, mules whinnying in panic as stalls filled with smoke. Mills next, grinders silenced as vats overflowed with unlit fires, steam hissing warnings. The quarters erupted, not in fear, but joining. 40 more slaves poured out, grabbing hidden blades, eyes alight at the mansion's glow. "The prophet calls," they chanted low, swelling the band to 90. Horses, 6 from the stables, were saddled hasty. Powder from Hawthorne's attic snatched mid-fray. But resistance stiffened. From the veranda, Overseer Tarkington, mounted a stray horse, bullwhip, cracking to rally stragglers. His ride for help faltered as spears flew, one glancing his mount's flank, unhorsing him into the dirt. Bound quick, he spat curses, but lived to witness his world burn. Mansion flames climbed higher, windows shattering from heat, forcing study barricades to splinter. Sims burst out coughing, revolver blazing. Big Tom's club met him mid-charge, slamming shoulder and helm. A blow to stun, sending the captain crumpling unconscious amid embers. Samuel wiped sweat and soot, thigh wound bound hasty by Eliza's strips. 8 whites down but breathing, pinned, bound, flames hurting them from fight. No slaughterhouse gore, but the air hummed with their pleas, the crackle of empire crumbling. "Horses! To the swamp ford!" he commanded. The band assembled, ragged. 85 strong now, arms laden, 10 pistols, shotguns, kegs. Women tended wounds with moss and herbs. Children clutched bundles, wide-eyed but unbroken. Dawn crept as they slipped east 5 miles into Pine Barrens, fog-cloaking tracks. Riverbend smoldered behind, a 1,500-acre wound cauterized by their hand. Losses: 4 rebels grazed or stunned. Zeke's shoulder bound tight. Recruits sang soft. Steal away, burying hurts shallow under crosses of cane. Samuel climbed a stump, moon fading. Lord gave first victory, Blackthorn next, 5 miles north. 40 souls wait. We grow, we move. Cheers rose ragged, but pursuit stirred. By 7 a.m., Whitehorns bayed, mobile militia roused. 50 mounted from upstream, dogs sniffing ash. Couriers raced, uprising at Riverbend. Armed host flees. Mobile panicked. Whites arming, free blacks watched. Governor Gale alerted. Hunt them down. Samuel's visions sharpened in blood's wake. Mid-march through brambles, trance gripped. Ambush at Blackthorn Bridge, flank left. They veered, hearts pounding. Dusk at Blackthorn, 300 acres, cotton, Master Lucius Black, chaining runaways infamous. Caleb's kin signaled, guards lax. Strike, 9 p.m., silent throats nicked on sentries. Black dragged from table, bound and gagged mid-supper. Family herded quiet, rooms secured. Slaves, 35, joined fervent, total 115. Barns smoked heavy, gins choked silent. Arms hall, pistols, small cannon. Night 2. Whites subdued, cumulative 20, no graves yet. Band emboldened, women cooking stolen fare, children scouting trails. Eliza's poultices eased aches. Samuel preached fireless. Pine Hill dawn, mobile calls. Cracks whispered. Josiah murmured. Innocents plead, wives young. A elder recruit, teared for glimpsed child fear. Samuel steadied. Justice breaks all yokes. Dawn August 23rd. Pine Hill, 400 acres corn cane. Colonel Amos Reed's palisade taught post news. Rebels cautious. Fog aid. Split assault. 50 faint horses thundering gates drawing fire. 65 flank gullies. Cannon whispered grape shot splintering wood. Swarmed. Reed bound a bed. Overseers roped balconies. Slaves 45 rows. Total 155. Mills smoked spectacular. Cribs veiled in haze. Muskets, sabers added. Whites down, 32 cumulative. Rebels grazed 8 more. Momentum swelled. Songs of Samuel's host lured stragglers. Band 175 by noon. Mobile 35 miles south. Docks whispered ships. Bahamas captains, northern sympathizers. Creeks masked steps. Pines hid. White wrath ballooned. Militia 300. Dogs relentless. Governor's bounty. $500 Samuel alive. Visions darkened camped sinkhole. Barricades, rivers churned, nooses. Voice urged, "Press! Freedom nears!" August 24th dawned tense. Three Creeks Ford ambush. Posse cut 20 stragglers, scattering wounded, but no kills. Rebels melted swamp. Eliza, bandaged saber graze. Southward, Widow Hargrove's farm. Family bound, 10 freed. Cedar Bluff, overseers tied, 15 joined. Toll subdued. 42 whites, banned 185. Terror gripped whites. Mobile fortified. Barricades, patrols, scorched quarters, preemptively. Rumors. Thunder Prophet rises. Night August 25th. Dog River Camp, 15 miles out. Weary feet, haunted eyes. Women held babes close. Scouts, militia vanguard 400 horse, cannons. Bridge trap, Samuel prayed. Fog thickened. Rider burst, free black dockman. Schooners wait. Yankee captains hate chains, but roads blocked. Choice, assault or flank. Trance. East Creeks, hold dawn. They ghosted. Betrayal loomed. Guilt-ridden elder slipped north, whispering paths. But unknown yet. Moon set. Mobile gleamed. Promise. Peril. Host marched. Fire in souls. Chapter 3. Flames on the river. The first screams shattered the night like glass under boot heels, but they were cries of alarm rather than agony. Samuel Rivers led the charge from the cane shadows, his band of 50 shadows erupting onto Riverbend Plantation at precisely 1:17 a.m. On August 23, 1835, the full moon, hanging bloated and orange above the Alabama River, casting long shadows over the Greek Revival Mansion, where Elias Hawthorne's grand ball swirled in oblivious revelry. Fiddles wailed from open French doors, laughter mingled with clinking glasses, and the air thick with tobacco smoke and perfume carried hints of the tension brewing beyond the veranda. Samuel's heart thundered, the storm vision pulsing in his veins like a fever dream. He gripped a cane knife, its blade filed razor-sharp over weeks in Josiah's swamp forge, its hickory haft slick with sweat. Behind him, Josiah brandished a spear tipped with plow iron. Eliza clutched a hatchet she'd practiced with on fallen branches. Caleb darted ahead like a shadow, and Big Tom loomed with a fence rail club gripped tight. The rest fanned out. Zeke with stolen pistols tucked in his belt. Mary wielding a meat cleaver from the kitchen. Ruth and the women armed with sharpened hoes and fire pots bubbling pine resin. They moved in eerie silence, rehearsed 100 times under cypress knees. No shouts yet, just the whisper of bare feet on dew-slick grass. The plan was precise. Breach the mansion unseen through the side servants' entrance. Overwhelm the whites room by room. Focus on those who held the whips and guns. Then set the mills and barns ablaze. Rally the quarter's slaves. Seize the stable's 6 horses and Hawthorne's shotgun rack. Northward to Mobile, 50 miles through piney woods, creeks, and hidden fords, swelling ranks at Blackthorn and Pine Hill plantations en route. Samuel had foreseen it all. The moon's path, the guards' rounds, even a fog bank rolling in from the river to cloak their flight. But chaos has its own rhythm. Caleb, scouting ahead, brushed a hidden tripwire Josiah swore he'd cut. Meant for foxes, now alerting the watchful. It twanged like a banjo string, bells clanging from the veranda. Inside, music stuttered. A guest slurred, "What in tarnation?" Then Hawthorne's bellow, "Patrol, Indians or runaways." Lanterns flared, muskets rattled from the walls. Samuel roared the signal, a low guttural, "Rise," and they surged forward. The servants' door gave under Big Tom's shoulder with a sharp crack. They poured in. Kitchen first, where 2 white cooks turned in surprise mid-stew stir. Mary stepped forward with her cleaver raised high, forcing one to drop his ladle and back away. Zeke's pistol barked a warning shot into the ceiling, sending the second scrambling out a window in panic. Shouts filled the air, but no blood spilled there yet. The cooks fled into the night, raising the alarm. Screams erupted upstairs as the band pushed into the ballroom. Hawthorne's grand hall was a scene of frozen revelry. 20 planters in broadcloth coats, wives in silk gowns, daughters with ringlets, all dancing halted as slaves burst through double doors. The fiddle bow snapped mid-note. Candelabras teetered, wax dripping onto rugs that began to smolder faintly. Samuel lunged straight for Hawthorne, knife raised but voice steady. The master, red-faced from bourbon, fumbled his dueling pistol. Too slow. Samuel's blade caught his arm in a glancing blow, forcing the gun to clatter to the floor. Hawthorne staggered back, eyes wide with shock, clutching the shallow cut as blood seeped through his ruffled shirt. "You'll hang for this, boy," he roared. But Samuel pressed forward, disarming him with a swift kick to the wrist. Panic exploded. Planters grabbed for fowling pieces on the walls, wives gathered children close, shouting for guards. Josiah moved on Overseer Tarkington, who whipped out his bullwhip with a crack. The spear thrust forward, catching the bully's shoulder and spinning him into a table. Tarkington cursed, dropping the whip, and bolted for the door. Big Tom swung his rail low, tripping 2 guests who tumbled in a heap, their pistols firing wildly into the ceiling. Eliza's hatchet swung wide, scattering a group of women who fled screaming toward the study. Ruth's hoe blocked another planter's path, herding him back without a strike. Gunfire cracked. Zeke's pistols boomed twice, shots embedding in the walls near fleeing figures, forcing planters to dive for cover. Powder flashes illuminated terror-twisted faces, but the whites rallied quickly. A planter's wife hurled a silver épingle, striking Caleb's shoulder and stunning him. Her husband lunged with a fireplace poker, grazing young Ruth's arm as she dodged. Bullets whizzed. One clipped Samuel's sleeve, tearing fabric but missing flesh. "To the arms room!" he bellowed over the din. They pressed the advantage, planters barricading doors, but the rebels controlled the hall. No one lay dead yet, but the air hummed with urgency. 8 whites were pinned, shouting threats from behind overturned furniture. Outside, flames answered the call. The women's team dashed to the sugar mills, massive steam boilers hissing, grinders chewing cane. Fire pots arced through the air. Resin ignited kettles, sending sparks skyward as workers inside abandoned posts and ran. Flames climbed 50 feet high, lighting the night orange without trapping anyone. Barns next, haylofts torched from afar, mules stampeding free, 200 bales fueling a controlled inferno that drove overseers from their posts. The river reflected the hellfire, visible for miles, signaling to distant farms. Quarters slaves poured out, 40 more joining the fray, eyes wide at the blaze, grabbing hidden tools and blades. "The prophet rises," they chanted, swelling the band to 90. No force, just fervor. Those who hesitated stayed back, watching as the fires spread. Samuel wiped sweat from his brow, shoulder aching from the near miss. "Horses! Mobile!" But the fight wasn't over. Gunfire from the mansion study. 2 rebels grazed by ricochets. Mary taking a splinter to the leg as she hauled a wounded comrade back. From the river road, hoofbeats thundered. Hawthorne's night patrol, 4 whites on horseback, alerted by the bells. Muskets flashed from afar. Bullets chipped porch columns. Big Tom charged forward, his rail shattering a horse's rein. The rider dismounted in haste, Josiah blocking his path with the spear. Return fire scorched the air. 1 shot grazing Tom's arm. He bellowed but stood firm, forcing the patrol to wheel away without closing. Samuel rallied. "Swamp Ford! Now!" They withdrew east, 85 strong now with new recruits, dragging the lightly wounded, arms laden. 10 pistols, shotguns, powder kegs from Hawthorne's attic raided mid-chaos. Behind, the mansion's rugs fully ignited from fallen candles. Guests evacuated in disarray. Hawthorne, last seen, stumbling out with his family, bloodied but alive, roaring for militia as flames consumed his empire. Riverbend smoldered, 1/500 acres fields lit by proxy fires, but the Corps spared for escape. Dawn found them 5 miles east, fog shrouded in pine barrens, the band ragged but spirits unbroken, wounded. 12 rebels with cuts and bruises, Eliza binding gashes with Spanish moss and herbs. Recruits shed tales of the night, eyes fierce despite the scrapes. Samuel climbed a stump as the moon faded. Lord delivered first fruits. Blackthorn next, 5 miles north. 40 more souls ready. Cheers rose ragged but resolute. They marked the shallow graves of none only hurts this night, and sang Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, voices carrying through the mist. But pursuit stirred. By 7 a.m., white horns echoed, mobile militia roused. 50 mounted planters from upstream estates, dogs straining on leashes. News flashed by courier. Uprising at Riverbend, Hawthorne driven out. Mobile streets buzzed, whites arming hastily, free blacks questioned under watch. Governor Gale wired militias from Montgomery. Contain and capture. Samuel's visions sharpened after the night's trial. Mid-March, a trance gripped him. Ambush at Blackthorn Bridge. Flank left. They veered off the main trail, skirting the trap. Arrived at dusk. Blackthorn Plantation, smaller. 300 acres of cotton. Master Lucius Black, known for chaining runaways to plows. Caleb's kin inside signaled with lantern flashes. Guards, drowsy from drink. Strike at 9 p.m. Swifter here, shadows slipped past outer watch, throats not cut but pinned silent with hands and clubs. Black was dragged from supper, bound tight with his own ropes. His shouts muffled as the band seized control. His family, wife, 2 sons, herded into a room, doors barred without harm. Slaves, 35 strong, joined willingly, total, now 120. Barns torched from outside, cotton gin set ablaze with care to let workers flee. Weapons hall, more pistols, a small cannon from Black's shed. No deaths tallied, but 22 whites subdued and left tied for militia to find. Rebels emboldened, women cooking hasty meals of stolen cornmeal, children scouting paths. Eliza's herbs eased aches. Samuel preached nightly by firelight. Visions guiding, Pine Hill tomorrow, then Mobile Road. But murmurs grew. Josiah voiced quiet doubt. Whites flee, but they'll rally hard. Women and young tire. A recruit, old Uncle Mose, fretted over the bound families glimpsed. Samuel steadied them. We break chains without needless fall. Freedom calls. Dawn August 24. Pine Hill Plantation, 10 miles northwest. 400 acres corn and cane. Master Amos Reed, militia colonel with 60 slaves. Tuffamack, palisade fence, guards alert from Riverbend news. Rebels approached cautious. Fog their ally. Samuel split the band. 50 frontal feint with captured horses thundering gates drawing fire into the dirt. 60 flanked through gullies. Cannon boomed warning shots. Grape splintered wood, harmlessly. Rebels swarmed. Reed cornered in his study, disarmed and bound. His wife and overseers similarly subdued. Shouts echoing as quarters rose. Slaves 45 joined, total 160. Mills flamed from afar, corn cribs pyres lighting the retreat. Weapons, militia muskets, sabers, powder. Cumulative whites subdued. 35 groups. Momentum swelled. Songs of Samuel's host spread to farms. Stragglers whined voluntarily. Band hitting 180 by noon. Mobile lay 35 miles south. Docks promised ships. Whispers of captains willing to sail north or to free lands. Route, creeks masking tracks. Pine barrens cover. White response, mounted. Militia now 300 strong, dogs baying, patrols combing woods. Governor's call, $500 per rebel leader captured alive. Samuel dreamed that night in a sinkhole camp. Visions of barricades ahead, but voice firm. Press on, ships await. August 25 dawned tense. Near Three Creeks Ford, militia posse spotted. 20 rebels circled, but broke free with volley fire into trees. No losses, posse scattering. Eliza bandaged a saber graze on her arm, hymns steadying her. Southward, push hit. Isolated farms. Widow Hargrove's place. Her and sons warned off. 10 slaves freed quietly. Cedar Bluff. Overseer family bound, 15 joined. Toll. 48 white households disrupted. Band 190. Terror rippled through white lands. Mobile fortified. Barricades on roads, free blacks confined. Militia scorched trails preemptively. But rumors flew, Samuel the prophet, storm chosen, spares lives but takes freedom. Night. August 26th. Camp near Dog River, 15 miles from Mobile. Band weary, feet blistered, but fire sustained. Samuel gathered circle. Tomorrow, final push, docks by dusk. Cheers rose, eyes alight. Women clutched young ones, dreaming free shores. Scouts reported, militia vanguard closing, 400 horse with light cannons. Bridge trap ahead. Samuel prayed under stars. Thunder rumbled distant. Fog thickened. Suddenly, gunfire south. Scouts clashing. A rider burst from woods. Free black from Mobile docks. Ships wait. 2 schooners. Captains, no friends to chains. But roads blocked. Choice, frontal or flank. Josiah gripped Samuel. Vision. Trance came. Samuel stiffened. Flank east, creek beds, dawn passage. They moved as moon set. Mobile lights flickered. Promise laced with peril. In the rear, doubt stirred. Uncle Mose, burdened by visions of bound innocence, slipped away quietly toward white lines, whispering warnings. Militia spurred. Dogs howled. The host marched into gathering storm. But Samuel's band pressed on, numbers holding at 185, weapons gleaming in fog. The creek beds twisted narrow, gators sliding away from torchlight. Caleb led point, fleet as ever, signaling clear paths. Eliza distributed poultices, her arm bound but steady. Josiah forged ahead, spear ready, his wounds a badge. Big Tom, knee-wrapped, hauled the small cannon on a makeshift sled, grunting determination. By 4 a.m., they crested a rise overlooking Dog River Flats. Mobiles glow, 5 miles off. Visions pulsed, ships' masts sharp against dawn. Lord parts waters, Samuel murmured, but Moses' flight bore fruit. Distant horns bayed closer, patrols converging. No time for rest. They plunged into the final leg, hearts pounding with the rhythm of bare feet on pine needles. Patrol clash at River Flats, 30 militia horsemen, lanterns swinging. Rebels ambushed first. Zeke's pistols cracked, horses rearing. Women hurled fire pots, singeing flanks. Militia fired wild, 2 rebels grazed but standing. Big Tom's cannon boomed once, load of scrap scattering mounts. Patrol broke, fleeing north to regroup. No captures, no graves. Band surged forward, now 183 after minor hurts. Mobile's outskirts loomed. Shanties, wharves, the bay's salt breath. Docks crawled with guards, but fog cloaked the approach. Samuel's voice cut low. Split, half to ships, half draw fire. Caleb darted ahead, signaling the Gulf Star. Schooner with sails half ready, crew sparse. Final push ignited. Rebels ghosted wharves, clubs and knives flashing to disarm sentries. Thumps of falls, gags tied swift. Captain Ellis, Yankee-born, eyed them wary, then nodded. For the cause. Ropes slashed, anchor weighed. Militia alarm bells pealed as 100 boarded, the rest holding line with volleys. Cannon from Fort Conde thundered. First shot splashed wide. Grape shot raked, but fog deflected. Gulf Star caught wind, lurching free. Pursuit sloops launched frantic. Cheers ragged aboard as Bay Chop swallowed them. Dawn, August 27th. Open Gulf, Star limping but sailing north. Samuel tallied. 110 survivors aboard. Josiah mending, Eliza at herbs, Caleb grinning. Visions final, vast sea, chains cast overboard. Lord broke them full, he said, yet Navy shadows on horizon. Enterprise bore down. Broadside exchanged, masts strained, but rebels fought deck to deck, Marines repelled with stolen cutlasses. Wind held. By noon, Cuba's sails beckoned. Samuel stood at rail, band chanting hymns. Freedom's fire burned true, not quenched, but blazing eternal. Whispers would echo in Cane Rose for generations. The prophet's host sailed on, ghosts of Riverbend watching from shore. Chapter 4. Chains of Retribution. The dawn of August 27, 1835, broke hazy over the Gulf of Mexico, gilding the waves in pale gold as the Gulf Star cut northward under straining sails. Samuel Rivers stood at the taffrail, wind whipping his tattered shirt. His band of 110 survivors clustered on the deck, exhausted but unbroken, their faces lit by the promise of open sea. Josiah leaned against the mast, his saber wound bound tight with Eliza's herbs, whispering hymns through gritted teeth. Caleb scampered the rigging like a squirrel, eyes scanning the horizon for pursuit. Big Tom sat amidships, his knee splinted with barrel staves, cradling the small cannon they'd dragged from Pine Hill as a trophy. Mary clutched her pearl necklace, a symbol of the nights they'd turned tables without spilling needless blood. Eliza moved among them, distributing the last of her poultices, her own arm sling fashioned from a sail scrap. The air smelled of salt, pine resin from fire pots, and the faint char of distant plantations left smoldering behind. Samuel's visions had carried them this far, flashes of masts against dawn, chains cast into foaming wakes. A promised land, beyond the waves. Riverbend was ash. Hawthorne and his guests scattered into the night, bloodied, but fled on foot and horse. Blackthorn's Lucius Black bound in his own parlor, family herded safely aside as 35 souls joined the march. Pine Hill's Colonel Reed, disarmed in his study, overseers pinned without fatal blows, 45 more rising to swell the host, farms along the creeks, warnings shouted, families tied loose enough to free themselves after, slaves slipping away in fog-shrouded bands. No graves for whites, only for the rebels' minor hurts, grazes from wild shots, bruises from clubs. Cumulative, 48 households disrupted, over 190 freed, weapons stockpiled, pistols, muskets, sabers, powder kegs. Mobile's docks breached in the pre-dawn chaos, sentries disarmed with swift thumps and gags. Captain Ellis, the Yankee, turning ally with a nod. Sail free, brothers. But freedom's taste soured on the wind. Cheers faded as shouts rose from the crow's nest. Sails astern! 2 militia sloops, launched frantic from Mobile Bay. Hulls low in the water, cannons run out. Fort Conde's final grape shot had scarred the Star's bow, flooding the hold knee-deep. But wind held true. Samuel gripped the rail, trance flickering. Press on. Storm gathers, but waves part. Rig for speed, he bellowed. Josiah hauled sheets with bloodied hands. Caleb loosed jibs. The schooner surged, foam shearing her sides. Pursuit, closed, relentless. By 9 a.m., the sloops fired ranging shots. Cannonballs splashing wide, one splintering the taffrail inches from Samuel's head. Deckhands, freed souls turned sailors, returned fire with muskets and the small cannon. scrap iron rattling chains. A lucky hit dismasted the lead sloop's foreyard. She yawed, cursing shouts carrying over water. But the second pressed, boarding hooks ready. "Prepare to repel," Samuel commanded. Women and teens passed powder. Men formed lines with cutlasses and clubs. Grapples flew at noon, biting rails. Militia poured aboard. 30 dragoons in sweat-stained blue, sabers flashing. Chaos erupted deck to deck. Big Tom swung his massive frame, club shattering a boarder's rifle, sending him overboard with a splash. Josiah dueled a lieutenant, saber clashing stolen blade, wounds reopening but fury unyielding. He disarmed the man, kicking him stunned into coils. Caleb darted low, hamstringing knees, knives pinning sleeves without kills. Eliza hurled fire pots from the galley hatch, resin igniting powder bags, flames licking boots and forcing leaps to sea. Mary wielded her cleaver like a scythe, hurting attackers back, pearls swinging defiant. Samuel fought at the wheelhouse, cane knife parrying bayonets, vision guiding each dodge. A dragoon lunged. Samuel sidestepped, tripping him into the scuppers where hands bound him swift. "No executions. Break chains, don't forge new," the voice urged. Rebels pressed advantage. Militia overwhelmed by numbers, driven back grapples cut. The sloop veered away, holed and burning, crews abandoning to jolly boats. Cheers thundered anew, deck slick with sweat not gore. Wounded, 5 rebels grazed by splinters, 2 militia captured and lashed to masts, fed and watched, spoils of war. Gulf Star limped north, hold pumped by shifts. Cuba's Keys whispered, 200 miles off. Tails circled, Prophet's host unbroken. Recruits from Cedar Bluff sang coded spirituals. Children played at swords with belaying pins. Samuel preached at sunset, sun dipping crimson. Lord, parted seas before. Ships led to free soil. Bahamas, Jamaica, lands no man owns another. Hope swelled, but shadows loomed. Night brought worse. Horizon darkened. Not storm, but steel. U.S. Navy brig Enterprise, Seminole Patrol, diverted by Mobil's frantic wires, bore down under full press. 24 guns, Marines ranked. Governor Gale's missives had raced. Insurrection afloat. Seize the Prophet. Cannonade opened at moonrise, broadside shredding Star's mainsail, spars cracking like thunder. Deck splintered. 3 rebels fell stunned, ribs bruised by flying wood. "Helm hard a starboard!" Captain Ellis roared. Vermonter grit shining. Rebels returned ragged fire, muskets popping, cannon booming till powder fouled. Enterprise closed, grapples arcing true. Marines stormed, disciplined, bayonets fixed, 80 strong. Quarterdeck melee raged. Caleb felled a sergeant with a thrown belaying pin, stunned helm. Josiah charged lines, saber felling rifles but taking a club to shoulder. Big Tom anchored amidships, cannon swiveled point blank, blast scattering ranks, horseshoe iron bruising knees, not piercing. Eliza's firepots ignited hammocks, smoke choking. Mary bound wounded mid-fight, cleaver guarding her charges. Samuel cornered at taffrail, pistols empty, knife bloodied from a shallow cut on his palm. Marines closed, rifles primed. Lieutenant Hale faced him. "Samuel Rivers, stand down. Justice awaits." Vision final, thunder over waves, chains shattering eternal. But sea called deeper. Freedom now, Samuel murmured, lunging not at foes but foam. Knife flashed own palm, avows blood, and he vaulted rail, body arcing into night-black swells. Waves claimed him, visions merging with surf. Enterprise took the Star by 2 a.m., Marines securing deck. Captives, 105 rebels ironed below, including Josiah gasping, Eliza defiant, Caleb feigned limp. Mary, clutching pearls. Captain Ellis parleyed. Crew under duress. Freed men, not pirates. Navy wavered, but irons held. Dawn, August 28th, towed them south. Mobile Bay, chained. Streets choked. 5,000 whites jeering from wharves, gallows rising plaza. Trials swift under martial law. September 1st, Vine Street, Mass Court. Samuel absent, presumed drowned, whispers of prophecy fulfilled. Josiah testified visions pure, sentenced life chains. Eliza's herbs confiscated, bound for labor. Caleb slipped irons in hold tumult, whispered to a guard's pity, slid overboard Pensacola night, gone. Hangings spared most, shock of no white deaths, swayed juries. 59 sentence transport, 46 plantation return under watch, but whispers spread. Samuel sailed free. Laws hardened, no assemblies, patrols doubled. Literacy whispers felony. Governor Gale proclaimed victory, but Kane rose hummed. Storm prophet lives. Months turned. Plantations rebuilt on disrupted fields. Hawthorne beggared. Reed demoted. Rebels scattered. Some recaptured, broken. Others fled swamps. Kin smuggling north. Josiah forged quiet in mobile yards. Hymns masked. Big Tom mended mules, knee stiff. Mary cooked free black homes. Poison dreams faded. Cuba rumors. A preacher matching Samuel cited Havana docks. Band of 20 preaching thunder. Myth or truth. Enterprise logs blank. Caleb confirmed later. Liberia mission, 1840s. Storm chosen brother. Echoes persisted. White terror birthed codes. Free blacks jailed wholesale. Churches patrolled. Books burned. Yet Nat Turner's shadow lengthened. Samuel's host amplified. Spared lives fueled abolition whispers north. Papers north decried. Mercy Uprising exposes Chain's cruelty. South doubled patrols, but fields whispered, swing low. Years on, 1865, chains snapped, union-wide. Ghosts of Riverbend walked free. Josiah at emancipation, gray but preaching. Eliza's herbs healed freed clinics. Mary's pearls heirloom. Samuel, legends, sails to Africa. Preaching visions, drowned martyr, voice in storms. Cane tassels bowed winds carrying his name. Freedom's fire, tested by sea, unquenched. River flowed eternal. Ghosts, unbound. But one twist lingered, trial whispers. During star capture, a shadow slipped longboat. Samuel, breath held, paddled fog. Sighted 1842 Bahamas, host rebuilding or myth. Storms whisper, never silenced. The Gulf whispered back, waves eternal.